Hey guys, how you doing?
Embracing the Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm always embracing the Christmas spirit. I've got robot dinosaurs on my Christmas jumper.
you've
It's
got your
great.
Christmas jumpers on.
Yeah, what one have you got?
It's
And
Star Wars,
Father
isn't it?
Christmas. Although I see the reverse, but that means that Zoom's seeing it the right way around, right?
Yeah,
So
Can you show us what's underneath? Oh, I'm your father. Christmas.
you can actually read that, can't you, Dom? It's just backwards for me.
Yeah, I can read it. It's all good. So I've brought you guys here today to talk about creativity in Yorkshire and the north of England. You guys are a film company.
Yeah.
I know you very well, but for those that don't know who you are and what you do, can you introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Mike. I'm one half of Inkblot Films. At least the people that... What are you laughing at? All right.
Should we just start this again?
Yeah, I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know your questions, so I don't have anything prepared. But
No, you don't.
Honestly,
I think that's the idea. We're not supposed. It's supposed to be on the
Say,
fly. It's not supposed to be
hello,
prepared.
Inkblot Films. We help people do more than they thought they could with the video at the end. Is that sort of the answer you're looking for? Like, oh, do you
No,
want
it's
us to be
us
like
individually.
yada 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 yada
So
yada?
individually, so tell me about
Individually.
again, tell me about yourself. So we'll start with Mike. How about we start with Mike and then we go to Jay?
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself and how you started your journey to get to where you are now with Inkblot Films. Tell me a little bit about your creative journey.
It's a big question. Do you want the introduction first? Like, I'm Mike, I'm Jay, and then we talk about it. Am I overthinking this for you?
I mean, you're overthinking it. I was gonna.
Should we just stop this and then start again from the beginning? And Mike will go, I'm Mike, and I go, I'm Jay, and we're from Inkblot Films. And then you can ask the next question.
Cool. Okay.
All right, is that what you want? You just want I'm Mike, I'm Jay.
Well, no, you can respond however you want. It's all good. This is my right. So, all right, guys, welcome. Thank you so much for your time today. Obviously, I know who you are.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you both. We're here to talk about creativity in Yorkshire in the north of England. Now, you guys are a film and media production company based in the city of York. Individually, obviously, we'll talk about Inkblot Films together as a unit in a little while and what you guys do, the projects you have ongoing. But yeah, can you introduce yourselves individually and tell me about your journey to this point, to how you got to Inkblot Films? So we'll start with Mike, shall we?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Mike Leigh Cooper. I am one half of Inkblot Films. How I got on this journey is a bit of a varied one, but the short answer is that I went to college, went to uni, did different courses, got accepted on things, didn't get accepted on things, tried one thing, failed in another, blah, 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 blah. Lots of successes and failures. It's, yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, we'll delve deeper into that in a little while, the successes and the failures. But Jay, now, could you introduce yourself as well?
Hello. Yes, I'm Jay. I'm the other complementary half Inkblot Films. So I am I've always been interested in art, films, animation, that sort of thing. So throughout sort of college, I did different sort of mediums of art, fine art, illustration, a bit of theatre and sort of like set design and stuff, which took me to uni, where I studied animation and film. I think I actually graduated the same uni that you did, Dom, which was University of Central Lancashire, many moons ago. And then just kind of went on a journey of, moving to different cities, living in Chester and Liverpool and Wales and London, and ended up boomeranging back around to York, which is where I'm from, where I met Mike and also met you as well, Dom. And we just all had similar interests, I think, and we just kind of decided we love film, we love creating stuff. We love art, so why not set up our own company and see where it takes us? And I think Inkblot's been going since 2014. Before that, we all worked together, didn't we, Dom? From about 2011, I think it was. So yeah, still not, still going strong. Still happy, still persevering. It's good. It's creatively satisfying, I think.
Okay, cool. You talk about creative satisfaction. In what ways is it creative satisfaction? I'm not going to sort of, direct you individually now with questions. You can both answer them as and when the answers come to you. In what ways is it creatively satisfying working as part of Inkblot Films?
I'm gonna let you go first
What?
because I like making you awkward.
Yeah. Why is it creatively satisfying? So I guess, yeah, we're looking at creative businesses in the north. I mean, I've always been in Manchester, Leeds, Bradford, and in York more recently. Why I find it creatively satisfying as a partnership, which is what we are, is that you get someone, you get a second person to have input on, because I think, at least for me, it's very easy to get lost down the rabbit hole of my own personal opinion, or my own personal opinion that's shaped by the current book or podcast that I'm listening to or reading, and that is ongoing. So I think, yeah, the best, most creatively rewarding thing is discovering that, you know, a wider set of influences almost always brings an extra advantage to a project. And it's especially when every time you get caught, because our brains are pretty stupid, and, you know, we'll catch ourselves up with the same issues every time. So, you know, like, you know, it's very hard to adapt, isn't it, when there's so much going on? But, you know, we'll face similar issues and get positive outcomes repeatedly from similar scenarios, and that's quite good because you know.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. It's nice to have just that balance of opinions and ideas, and sometimes working alone is, you, like Mike said, you think you've got your own idea, you think it's the best thing ever, but sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, and then someone else could come in and say, oh, have you thought of that? And you're like, oh yeah. And it just really helps to sort of bounce ideas off each other, come up with different strategies, different sort of ways to get to the end goal, if you like. Like we do a lot of things commercially, working for businesses and charities and young people and things like that. So it usually is a collaborative thing when it comes down to business, but you also have a lot of our own like creative stuff. So personally, I am sort of planning a few short films. There's also, I run a burlesque fantasy life drawing class as well, and, you know, do a lot of like weird artsy fartsy odd stuff, and that gets that kind of odd, creative, wacky side out, and then it allows me to be a little bit more professional when it comes to like a business thing. But I think what we're trying to do to sort of stand out from the crowd, and I hate that term, is to not be a competition for any other company, and just be the kind of people who, we think differently, we do things differently because we are, you know, from a more artistic, weird, creative background. So you could get a video that looks like a standard video with any other company, but if you want it to be slightly different and odd and weird, and therefore hopefully more engaging, you come to us and we'll sort you right out.
My next question for you guys, because it was Jay who mentioned some of the external, you know, kind of inspirations, things that you do to get your creative juices flowing. I'm curious, individually and together, what are your inspirations? Is there anything you do together or anything you do separately? Spending time with family, creative stuff, playing video games, music, anything like that, that fuels your collective juices, creative juices, or individually?
Or video games.
I have a list of games and a library of games. I don't actually play them.
Sometimes we you know, do a few co-op games and stuff, and that's a good way to sort of unwind. I don't know, personally, I just like, I'm a bit of an art wanker, so I love comics, I love films, I'm a massive film nerd, so I just watch films all the time and just kind of soak it all in, soak up shot composition, writing, you know, music, things like that. I'm a big lover of like film and video game soundtracks. I love them. So I sit and just listen to those sort of things. I like, you know, like I said, drawing and painting and things like that. So when I'm not doing Inkblot stuff, I'm still doing art because that's just what I do for fun. And when I'm not doing art, I'm just too lazy, I literally just sit and watch films and eat biscuits all day long. That's me.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, I get inspired by concepts and things really. So I am mostly, I don't know, I think I've got a little bit too into the whole being mindful of the moment and put your energy into one thing at a time to avoid multitasking. So I'm either doing something specific like my emails or at project admin, or I've got downtime and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to do the washing up. What can I do to make the most of this? Oh, I'll listen to an audiobook, or I'm going to bed thinking I should be, reflecting on the day and journaling and trying to at least be present in my own life. And then occasionally I realize I haven't planned enough white time or downtime into my life. So I think I should be doing things like games or guitar or stuff that's good for me. Whereas, because I think I'm seeing, work and play on the opposite ends of a spectrum, but actually they're not. They're a bit more intertwined. So that's mostly where I'm at.
Sometimes we do too much work though. I think that's the thing about being a business owner is sometimes you really don't know when to switch off, and you're working all weekend and you're working till 1 in the morning and things like that. And I definitely find that my work time, when it's pure work, does bleed into my downtime, and I'm like, no.
That's the same thing. Well, it's the same thing for me. It's just, like I said, it's not. They're not competing forces; they're complementary forces. So if I'm washing up and I'm listening to audiobook, I'm fulfilling my need. What's my need? My need is to feel like I'm relaxing. What do I want out of relaxing? I want to feel like I've either socially engaged, so I want to communicate with people with what I'm doing, or I want to talk to my girlfriend about what I've just listened to, or I want to do something that totally takes me out of it. So maybe that's exercise, which is part of my morning routine, or maybe that is cycling my bike, because obviously I could drift off and not pay attention on my bike, but then I might get knocked off, and that would be a bad idea. So it's it's about my focus rather than the competition of relaxation. And what inspires me really is taking a step back, is realizing I've accidentally fallen into a hole, and then going, oh, this
not on your bike.
No, a metaphorical hole or a mental thinking hole, a thinking trap. And I'm like, oh my God, I've fallen into a thinking trap. I thought I've been really wrapped up in this one approach. And then I've read something else and I've taken a step back, and all of a sudden I realize it's a different frame or a different map. And I'm like, that's a cool map. What is this new angle? And then I get to, hopefully incorporate things, but my memory isn't what I want it to be. So I just have to take notes and try and remember. I hope my subconscious is doing something, but I don't know, inspiration. That's a hard one. What creatively inspires me? Hope of doing what I want.
That's existential. I like that. Hope.
Would you say that you guys are doing what you want with your lives and what you always kind of dreamed of? Because again, working in the creative industries it's exciting, right?
Definitely. There's always new technological advances. There's always new cool stuff happening. There's always new creative people doing new things. And on the very sort of basic end of that, you've got something like a few years ago, if you wanted a nice Emmerdale kind of shot of something, you had to have a helicopter and stick a multi-thousand-pound camera on it to just get a nice sort of shot. These days you can get a drone for 50 quid and fly it around and get the same kind of thing.
Hashtag with someone who has a license.
Hashtag with someone who has a license.
50, more like 200.
But the point is that
hashtag. What's that thing called? You're
parentheses.
You star it, don't you? You put a star. Oh, hang on a minute.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk.
Or a disclaimer, whatever. Yeah.
Or a disclaimer.
Other products are
an
available.
Appendice, I think. But yeah, so things like that just shows how the world is moving technologically really, really fast, to the point where when I was at uni, for example, which was back in 2005, the only choice that I really knew about was graduate and work for Channel 4, work for ITV, work for Cosgrove Hall, something like that, get a job. It never occurred to me to work for myself, or that I could ever afford a camera, because they were thousands of pounds. Nowadays, you can get a really good, like a camera that we're shooting on right now. For a grand or two, you can get something that's really good, 4K, proper good quality. Lenses are coming down in price, so they're still pretty expensive. Software as well is getting more affordable. Editing software is getting more affordable. So I feel like it's a great time to be a creative person, whether it's in film or if it's in the arts, because all the things that seem quite unattainable about 10, 15 years ago are definitely more available to the sort of there's someone who's starting out, and then it's kind of a matter of just growing and honing your talents and skills and making sure, because for me it's never just about the technology. That's a tool, it's a means to an end. It's all about the eye and the skill and the story and all that stuff behind it, I think. And it doesn't matter what you shoot something on. I always think, I'm going off on a tangent here, I know, but
my speciality.
Yeah, especially.
So it's only taken us 90 minutes to set this up. Why, Mike?
Why did it take us 90 minutes to set it up? Because we wanted good TV quality lights and a couple of microphones. I
don't know. Is the microphone too big? I don't know, Mike. Just do it.
No. We've even got a little vision mixer device right here to switch from one camera to another.
How to quickly lose friends. That should be my book. What's that book called? How to make friends.
How to lose friends and alienate.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's it.
But what I was saying is, I always think about, when I'm thinking about inspiration, some Clerks is a brilliant film. I know you love it, Dom. You love it. I love it. Clerks is a fantastic film with a fantastic script. Not very well filmed. It's just shot in like an old camera in whatever it was, 1993 or something, or 4. It's all in grainy black and white. The actors they're just his mates. They're not like amazing actors, but the concept is there and it's fun and it's well put together and it's a good solid story. And I always think it doesn't have to look like Avengers Endgame or something like that, as long as the concept and the story and the idea is there. You could shoot it on your phone, you could do whatever you want with it. And that goes for many different forms of art, but technology definitely helps get things across, and YouTube and things like that is a great platform to put stuff on. So I find that's an extra inspiration for me, is knowing that, God, 5 years ago, we didn't have this technology. I wonder what we're going to have in 5 years' time and what we'll be able to do that I could only dream of at the moment. So,
Well, I think there's probably a caveat to that. I mean, in answer to the question, are you doing what you want to be doing? Do you feel creatively fulfilled? I would probably say it's relative. So no, if I compare myself to the person down the street. So there's some great guys down the road, called Willow Films, who have their own studio. We don't have a studio, and I can be like, oh my God, well, we do, but it's not, they've got an actual awesome building, you know? Like, oh my God, we haven't got a building. Oh, there's our guys upstairs, Ether, they've got some bigger, flashier kit than us. Oh my God, we haven't got this certain level of thing. And if you compare yourself to other people, you know, we've all got different starting points, different ending points, then probably not. No, not going to be creatively fulfilled or fulfilled in any way, shape or form. But then if I compare myself to last year's version of Mike, you know, did I have a studio last year? Yes. Did it have the potential, and did it look as good as it does this year? No. Am I in a better place? Yes. So yeah, and with all that sort of access to technology, yes, it does make things easier. Yes, it is more available. However, I think the caveat is, to me, is that it means that you need to be more specific and strategic about what you pick, why, and to what degree, because
definitely there's a lot of technology around, so it can get really confusing.
Yeah, you might run the risk of information overload, or what's it called? Something anyway. Information overwhelm.
You get
analysis paralysis. That's the one. So this is something I used to be very guilty of. I've had to train myself out of it because it's absolutely unnecessary now. But if you think about it in terms of computer software, so video is something you're good at with the video software. So for me, that's video editing software. At one point, I could troubleshoot people's problems with Final Cut Pro 10 over the phone because I knew all the menus. Is that a useful way for me to spend my time? Not really.
Unless you're getting paid for it.
Well, no, it's not a good use of my time, because if there's 10 things and I only use one of them on a day-to-day basis, but I still know the other 9, well, then why am I wasting my time and energy on that? So that's the same sort of thing. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and you could try and learn it all, and you would go insane. But you just need to start small from an MVP, minimum viable product basis, and start small.
Not most valuable player.
I mean, you can try to be the most valuable player. There's nothing up with that.
I feel like I am. I feel like that's
yourself.
That's my advice. Be the most valuable player. Be the MVP that you can always be.
For yourself.
Okay.
Be your own
Yourself.
MVP.
Yeah.
Be your own MVP.
Be the MVP that you need yourself to be. Is that an inspirational quote?
Yeah,
That's a nice little-
that's what
there you
we're
go.
going to finish the
Right,
video
yeah,
with.
yeah.
Be your own MVP.
You should put that on the back of your wall. I've
Yeah,
got
man.
a couple more questions before we finish. I think a lot of this series is about inspiring other people, younger people who are wanting to build a career for themselves. Can you tell me any tips and advice for anybody working in the north of England, anybody working in the creative industry? You've given a few there on how to build their own careers and work for themselves as you have been able to do.
I would say, kind of piggybacking off what I said before about access to technology getting easier, phones shoot on 4K, things like that. I'd say immerse yourself in creative stuff and study things. So obviously we do film, so I'm going to talk from a film perspective. There's different things if you could talk about art or, music or whatever. But for films specifically, watch films, watch bad films so you know what not to do, but then watch good films so you know how it can be done well. Watch independent films a lot, watch short films, watch old films, watch new films, like literally immerse yourself in all films. It's, we're coming to Christmas, and the other day I was watching a film from the 40s, which was a Christmas film because it's Christmas, but also it reminded me just how well written and well constructed films were back then. If you could look at German expressionism from like the 20s and 30s, and you can look at the silent films, they all have their own merits, and if you judge them on a film today, a new Matrix film or whatever, then obviously it's going to be different because it's stylistically different. The editing, the shots, how it paces, the music, the acting styles are all different. But I would say learn the history of it, whatever it is you're doing, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's film. Learn the history, immerse yourself in it, study it, and try and replicate it, and bring in other elements of stuff. So, for example, I like film, I like making films, but I'm also an illustrator. That's where I started, was drawing comic books. Drawing comic books led me to doing storyboards. I dabbled in a little bit of theatre, which helped me understand lighting and set design, and also working with actors. So do different things. Don't just do one thing. Unless if you just really want to be an editor, or you really want to be a composer and you're not interested in anything else, then that's fine. But I think that limits your worldview and it limits your understanding of what it is. And I would say if you're in the north of England, don't necessarily think that London has it all. It's good for a lot of things. It's great for loads of arts, loads of culture. Access to stuff is fantastic, but there's also a lot of competition, and it can be a bit cutthroat down there. So if you're going to go down to London, prepare yourself. But I don't think you need to go to London to get ahead. I was there for 5 years, and then my career didn't get started until I came back to York. So use people that work with people that there's creative people everywhere, and create opportunities as well. So create get a camera, even if it's your phone, get your mates in and just film something. Use locations that you've got, and if you build it, they will come. Quote.
Yeah, nice
quote.
Mike?
If you build it and you put it online, you do good SEO, they might come.
I guess Field of Dreams was wrong, wasn't it? Damn you, Kevin Costner. Carry on.
I was gonna start with a joke and say, oh yeah, if you want to have a creative career in the north, don't listen to the oldies. But then as we were talking, I was thinking maybe that's like a bit of a broad stroke, creativity. I mean, it's shifting, isn't it? So yeah, I think there's an element of don't listen to the oldies, because our world is not your world, for a start. In fact, probably an adaptation on that is don't work with the oldies that don't listen to you.
That's what probably. I was going to add. The oldies, and I don't know if we fall into that category of being the oldies. I hope we're mid-range.
Anyone who doesn't get your world is
But yeah,
outside
like
of it.
the world is full of middle-aged white men, and so are a lot of industries. Not all of them, but many are. There is a shift.
Don't let it continue.
Don't let it continue. And also, I think that when people don't understand things like social media, they don't understand, that you could do a film that's really, really good. The concept is really good, and it's maybe a few seconds long, 20 seconds long. You stick it on TikTok because they may not know what a TikTok is. You've got an advantage above them because you're understanding new technology. They may understand the old technology. They may have 40 years worth of experience, which is, again, in some ways, immeasurably more important. But if they don't understand how to apply it, how to use it to them, if they don't understand how to apply it, they're becoming dinosaurs. I think
it goes back to your audience. I think the answer to lots of things could be about, it starts with your audience. So if you're speaking to young people, then you need to know about it. If you're speaking to older people, you need to know about their world. If you meet people in the middle, you need to combine your skills. And if you want to do a creative career and the world is changing to the speed it is, I think you do have to be multi-talented. If you're going to go down the self-employed route, which is on the up as well, you really need to, unfortunately, if you go to uni and you study a creative skill, then you go into business because that's what you want to do. But the reality is that you need a lot more than that. Yes, that might be the thing that you do that's good at, that gets the bills paid, but another large part of that is the business aspect of it and the sales and all that comes with that. So I would say get skilled up in that as well. Either take a business course or go and speak to people. And if you speak to people who do business, take their advice with a pinch of salt, because all it ever is an opinion, and it may be relevant to you, it may not be relevant to you, but it's sure as hell hard to mix the business and the creativity. And in terms of the relevance to the North aspect, I would say don't overlook, well, firstly, don't listen to people who tell you can't do something because of something about you, whether that's your age or ability or skill or course. Do what you know you're good at, because if you're good at it, you're good at it. And if you're not the best in the world, it doesn't matter, as long as you're good enough for what you're being hired for. That's all it matters, or for what you're doing, if you're not getting hired for your own level. So that goes back to what I was saying before about not comparing to other people. But if you do go into business and you are working in the North, make the absolute most of the free resources that are out there, be it the training, be it the funding, don't discount regional bodies and larger support groups, or even local ones, because you got to think of it like this: like the local ones will know your local area. If you step up, the regional ones, say for us it's Screen Yorkshire, they have some really amazing schemes, some really talented, interesting, cool people, and they are there to support you. Above that, you've got Creative England, and they're all working at different levels, but it's all part of the same picture. And as you grow and develop, there'll be different opportunities for you to support you. So there'll be startup funding and training and opportunities. Then there'll be 4 years plus. Then there'll be more and more and more and more, and gradually it'll go up. And you need to push yourself as much as possible, as soon as possible, to make progress in these areas, because it's there to support you. And don't get used to being out of your comfort zone and make informed, educated choices as best as you can. And don't let anyone tread on you, because unfortunately they might try to do that. And it's a very tricky balance, but the support is there, the resources are available, and you're probably a lot more adaptable than you realize. So I think that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, I'm just going to add one last thing, which is work with people who have complementary skills as well,
and competencies. If someone doesn't seem good, like, you need the best with you. Yeah,
exactly.
Make sure they're good.
Yeah, for example, if you might be a good camera person, but you may not be a great editor, so find an editor. If you've got those two, you need a sound person, find a sound person. If you aren't good with money, get an accountant. I think an accountant anyway. You get an accountant anyway. And I think that comes from the whole thing of being a jack of all trades and a master of none, which is obviously I think sometimes isn't true and sometimes is. I think it's good to know as much as you can of every aspect of something, lighting, editing, pacing, script writing, whatever, so that you can, if you want to be at the head of it, if you want to be the Kubrick or the director above it watching, you need to know everyone's job. But at the same time, you need to work with those people, because you're not an octopus.
You can't do everything.
You can't do it. Yeah, you can't do everything. So
believe me, I tried.
Yeah, exactly. And we've tried, and we're still doing it. We're still trying to do it. Sometimes we think, oh, we can do this thing with just one of us or just two of us, and then we always think, actually, probably would have been better if we'd had an extra camera person or a sound person or something.
But don't outsource at your detriment or financial cost. So be sensible about where you outsource and collaborate.
Yeah,
if there's a cost involved.
So if you're going to start a business, or you want to just start some sort of collaborative co-op or community with people, like I was saying about you build it, it'll come. Sometimes just putting something out on social media or saying, hey, I'm going to make a short film here, I've got this idea for this. I'm not getting paid, but does anyone want to do it? They might be other students, they might be people who want to learn, but you might be able to get some actors, some some sound people.
You should be able to get that, and you have to be prepared for the people that are going to come along and potentially bash you for that and say you're driving down the cost of the industry. We can't afford to. You should be doing free stuff, whatever. They're just not in your place.
Yeah, exactly. And also, otherwise, what is art for? If art isn't to create something that is fun and expresses something about yourself that unifies people, that is an enjoyable experience for everyone, and then just stick it out on the internet so that you've done something, rather than being too nervous and sitting in your room just going, oh, I had this idea once.
Yeah. If 5 people can afford to do something cheaply and they're all interested in growing their skills and they all grow their skills together, well, that's not detrimental to anyone. That's just beneficial for them, and they put it out in the world. But it's not as if it's not in a paying context, so it's not comparable to these arguments. That
and for employers, for employers, they love that. Like, they love saying, "What have you done? What are you good at?" And people say, "Oh, if you go to this YouTube link, you can find X film that I worked on," and they'll think, "Oh, cool, I like that." And even if they think, "Oh, that's a bit amateurish," you've done something. That's better than not doing it. It's obviously it's better than not doing anything, but it's better than letting your demons get in the way and letting the naysayers get the better of you and stopping it. I'd rather do something and it being a little bit rubbish, and then the next project being a little better and the next one a little bit better, and just building from that so you've got the confidence to do it, than never do it at all. So that's my second bit of advice.
I think of a comparison, I'm thinking of something twinkly. You think of yourself as something twinkly, and each independent thing you do that shows a skill that you have is like a twinkle. And in interview situations or getting jobs, it's the twinkles that make a difference. It's the personal connections, and some people will respond to one thing, some people respond to another thing. But the more threads you have, obviously don't go nuts, because we all have a finite amount of time, but let's say you have a massive interest in something specific. Well, it's probably likely that if you speak about that, as opposed to removing it from your business or your self-employment or your career identity, your personal brand, if you actually embed it in there deliberately, there's more chance that the people you speak to will be more drawn to you for that. And then there might even be people that will come to you because of that, and they'll be like, well, I also like that too, and I want to support that. And that means that you're getting more quality interaction with people. And especially if that interest reflects on your personality type and how you work, then it also means that people who really don't like that are not even going to bother you at all. So people end up self-selecting themselves. Is that right? Self-qualifying themselves.
Yeah. So you'll end up working with the kind of people that you want to work with. And socializing with the kind of people that you want to socialize with. And it's about being bold, and it's about just not. I don't want to say not compromising. Sometimes you have to, but I do think when it comes to artistic intent, don't compromise. And I'm going to quote Rorschach and say, never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon, because there's something about artistic integrity and getting your vision across.
My flip would be compromise if you have to, and then have an existing plan in which to compromise with, and have a reason, or at least a set of criteria under which you are happy to compromise. So then it's not.
It depends
it
depends what you're compromising on. Obviously, if you're a musician or a painter and you're doing something for yourself that's just fun, of course you don't need to compromise. That's your vision, and it should look like your vision. As soon as you start collaborating with other people,
or someone pays you,
or someone pays you, then it becomes a dual project. And then you're like, this is my artistic vision, and they're like, no, it's mine. And you can clash heads with that. But I also, if we're talking about just branding and marketing yourself, no one knows you like you do. No one knows your style like you do. Yeah. So it's always best to start with the most extreme thing and then level it out. Maybe.
That is there. I mean, that is tied to the creative career. If you're going to have a career, you need a personal brand. If you're going to have a personal brand, all of this fits into that. If you're in the north, understand the landscape of the local or regional area. Where do you fit in? What can you compete on? What do you want to compete on? Because ultimately, it's a competition of attention or keywords on the internet. That is the data world we now live in.
Indeed. And obviously there's some really good stuff there as well, and got a lot of shared experiences together as a business, things you'll have been through, things you'll have done. Can you talk me through how you've applied some of that advice to some jobs you've done? Tell me about some of the career highlights that you've got as a business, how you've applied some of that knowledge and what it's got you, some of the best jobs, some of the best bits about being in Inkblot Films, being a part of Inkblot Films, some of the best projects you've worked on.
The best bits. I'm gonna have to think about it. And anything spring to your mind?
Yeah, I like it when all of my pedantry pays off. People are like, why are you overcomplicating this? What are your systems for? I don't understand this. Why have you got this software? And then not every time. Let's call it 1 out of every 10 times. It works out swimmingly and gloriously. And then, which for me is to have an inquiry, to seek out the needs behind the inquiry and the brief, asking lots of questions and listening a lot, preparing a brief, sending it across, updating it with the needs of the customer, approving the budget, adjusted on those needs and expectations, delivering a project where I do the project lead, Jay does the production, and I set up a shared project space where we can all keep in touch and tag each other and comment and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of it, I say, thank you very much, send the invoice, they pay it on time, and then I send them a thank you email and ask them for a review, and they write us a glowing review, and it pops up on Google, and I bung that on our website. For me, boing, that is the magic. And that happened like once this year with Etele Ikovic. So we from Clements and Paul Snyder, and we worked with a company called Clements International on insurance video. When it comes in, you look at insurance, and actually it was a referral from our friend Danny Barge, so even better.
Thanks, Danny Barge.
Thanks, Danny. But when it comes in and you're like, insurance, I can't do that. I don't do insurance. I know nothing about insurance. And you talk to them and you're like, oh, they're just people. Okay, what do these people need? And then it works out. And then I'd love to keep working with them forever and ever and ever. That never happens, sadly. Like, people's jobs change and people move on. But right now it is good. It all works perfectly. That's my I don't have a career. My career highlights are, I feel like they're from years ago. I don't know why, like 10 years ago now. But my personal current achievements in the business are that's probably it. But
they don't have to be current.
Symbols off that.
Current. It can be a highlight from 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I can tell you some of my highlights. My creative highlights are, we worked with a charity it was actually we finished it just before lockdown 2020. And we were approached by a charity that does sex and relationship education for sort of teenagers. And they basically said to us, we need some videos, but we don't know what the hell we need. Help us. And for me, that was absolutely fantastic, because it was blank canvas all the way, and I had essentially carte blanche to come up with a bunch of ideas. So
you did.
So I did. And I sat there and I wrote, I think I wrote about like 9 or 10 scripts, and we turned it into five short films that involved a sort of quite a big cast of young people. They were all obviously over 18.
Like 5 or 8 or something?
I think it was like between 8 and 12 people from different parts of the country, different backgrounds, different diversities, all that kind of stuff. And it was really interesting to just write these characters and kind of be like, oh, if I was a 14-year-old, how would I speak? And I kind of just talked to these people and said, this is my dialogue, ignore it. As long as you say roughly what this means in young speak, it'll come across better on screen rather than say it word by word. But I wrote all these scripts, I storyboarded it, I cast it, I filmed it, and I edited it. And it was kind of essentially just an entirely involved thing that, oh God, took us about 3 months, I think, to shoot everything. And there was good maybe 3 or 4 months of writing and pre-production going on. And then there was a good solid month of post-production. But what we got at the end of it was 5 short films ranging between, about 5 and about 9 or 10 minutes.
Which we can't show.
Which we can't show. But
we signed an NDA.
So signed an NDA, and hopefully they're going to...
Never sign an NDA. No, do.
No, do.
You have to.
But they're hopefully going to get shown in sort of schools, sort of teach people about relationship education, which has never been a thing. And this is something that I've always thought, oh, they teach you the functionality in school of sex education, what goes where and how the biology works, but they never teach you about the emotional stuff or things about consent. And it was a really interesting thing to delve into these gray areas of consent, how people's minds work, how relationships work, and not do the stereotypical thing of someone does something and then it's bad. We focused on different. I basically can't talk too much about it, but basically, it was a very interesting task in terms of writing characters that are wide enough so that anyone watching could see themselves as that character, but also specific enough so they weren't, Bella from Twilight. If I'm going to throw some shade.
Who are we answering this for? Like, who? What? You? What? Anyone?
Well, just everyone. And I think the thing is that it's taken a long time to get to that point where it's like, oh, someone's come to us with some money, with a decent budget, and wants me to write and direct some short films. But it kind of finally happened. And then during lockdown, we got a job with Fairfax House, working with a bunch of actors and
shout out to Tom Frey, Thomas Frey, who's an actor in York with the Juliet Collective, who approached us. Like
Paul Birch, the writer of that as well.
Sarah and Rachel and Megan at Fairfax, and Andrew also. So
basically worked with a really cool team of actors, directors, writers, and they'd done a bit of theatre, but they'd not done much like film stuff basically before, and they were like, how do I do it? And it was like, it's okay, we'll work together and do it. And it was really, really fun, really cool thing. Anytime where there's really good actors in period costume, it looks fantastic. So and there's been quite a few really good projects. Stuart Semple as well, worked with him quite a few
he
times.
was amazing. Like, shout out to Stuart. Like, I think I posted something one time when I was a bit unsure about cash flow at one point, and I just said, has anyone got any work? And he sent the documentary my way, and I was just like, and then an animation my way. And he is a so prolific artist down in Bournemouth, and he's also got a gallery which I think is still going in central London. And he's just, again, he's brilliant. Really admire him. Absolutely, really inspirational person. Very creative. Very cool. Really easy to chat to as well. Just a really sort of on the level, decent guy who just wants to put some good back in the world. So we've done quite a few projects with him. And again, I could keep going on. I was going to say, like,
that'd get boring, wouldn't it, if I just kept going?
My old things, I was going to say, like, I'll keep it short. My old things, I was going to say, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I managed to like pitch via Twitter a workshop to Channel 4, and then I did some community workshops with the BBC on this as part of the community outreach for documentary, and then I was UK representative for the 2011 relay reporter stuff, which was like filming in Lithuania. I did all this stuff, but I feel like they were pure fluke, and they were a long time ago, and I was reluctant to say them because I think, obviously, like, I worked with these companies and they paid me and I delivered stuff for them, but but I don't know how I got them. It was just like pure chance.
But
Whereas now anything we get is deliberate, and it feels that more rewarding. The names aren't as big, but the depth and the detail and the fabric and the foundations behind it is so much more solid and considered. It's either something we really want to do, or it's something we've helped someone make that they wouldn't have made without us. And so, generally speaking, it's all more rewarding because we're not throwing ourselves into things.
We have an ongoing relationship as well with them. People who keep coming back for more jobs, and I think that's one. It's good for business because then you get more money in the long run. But secondly, you build that relationship with that person. It becomes easier and easier to work with them over time, and you feel like you've just got a really good connection with.
Well, it's a dance, isn't it? Yeah, it's not a battle. It's not like someone sends a proposal and they fire a shot at you, like a brief, and then you write the proposal and you throw the hand grenade back in their court, and then and they. I like that analogy. And then they catch it and throw it back, and it's like, oh god, it's a dance. You're in it together, like you're helping each other out. You've got to be in step. And one of my favorite highlights, and this is a person thing, is my ability to network. Naturally, I feel like, naturally, wrong word. At one point in my life, I felt like I was. Please don't laugh. Quiet, or at least a little bit afraid of how I would interact with people because I had a lot of energy, and it sometimes came across as misguided, or people didn't respond very well. So I generally chose not to interact with people too much deliberately, but. Or I would think I wasn't businessy enough, and I went through a period where I tried to wear a suit because I thought that's what I had to do to be a businessy person. And now I just turn up and sometimes I think, I should be wearing this t-shirt, but who cares? People don't pay me for what's on my chest; they pay me for what's in my head, and the difference I can make to them. But in York, we've been networking with York professionals. We've been networking with there's support from Louise Saw and the York Economic Business Development Team, part of the council used to be Make It York, Brian Littlewood, Marianne Hewitt, they all work together. I've had loads of conversations with Bob Watmore at the City of York Council about apprenticeships, and also loads of support from, Gilligate Collective. What's the other one I was going to say? York Professionals. That's it. So Louise runs like Connect Over Coffee, and there's all these things, and you have all these thoughts about whether I fit in or whether I don't fit in, but it's relationship building. It's person to person. Obviously, there's a system behind that. You go in and you want to strategically target and speak to the people if you're going in for business who might give you business. But at the same time, you don't ignore the people that are there that you get on with, because work comes out of everywhere. There's a guy called Jay Cummins who works at Piper, and he's been so nice to us, and generous in his connections and just throwing potential jobs our way. We still pitch for them over the years because of some of the voluntary stuff we do. And it's not like I've ever seen him in a networking group and I've ever tried to sell to him, but stuff happens. So in terms of these career highlights and where they might come from and how you get there I think you develop your own flavor of it. And I think Dom's a good example with Soundsphere. Like, you put so much out there and I'm sure it just comes back, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about definitely networking. You're definitely right on that. But I think some people do networking wrong and some people do networking right. And that
effective and less effective.
Effective and less effective. I'd say there are serial networkers, and sometimes you learn. Sometimes about the group that you go to. Are they your tribe? That kind of thing.
Shout out to Tribe Arts.
Shout out to Tribe Arts, who we also work with quite a lot. But also, if you just go in with a bunch of business cards or something, you say, "What can you do for me?" And then you're on this like.
That's literally what some people do.
Yeah, some people do that, and it's fake, it's ingenuine, and it doesn't feel like they actually care. And you can't make a connection with that person, because ultimately, business comes down to we're all human beings, and it's people buying from people. Yes, they're using the money of a business, but they're buying from people. So and we have this whole thing, part of our Inkblot thing, which we're trying to shout about more, is our customer service part, because we've both done a lot of working in shops and customer service kind of work, and had it drilled into us that we need to put the customer first, go in with a smile, always try and help them. Don't be an arsehole, basically. And there are a lot of people in this world who are just moody, mardy little, pricks who don't get the business because they don't get related. People don't relate to them.
And that's your advantage.
Yeah, but people relate to us. Yeah, we get business these days because people like us. They like us as people. We fix problems, we help them. We're creative and we're good at what we do, obviously, but everyone's creative and good at what they do. It's like, well, we got that stands out, and it's always good customer service, and that should come through to networking, to how you present yourself, being likable, being friendly, being fun. It's hard sometimes. I don't like always being friendly and happy and fun. Sometimes it's a game face I have to put on to just smile and be genuine. Sometimes I don't want to. I'm quite introverted. But when it comes to like a networking thing, or I'm just chatting to people over coffee, it's a lot easier because I'm talking to the person. And then you think, oh, well, let's just chat about something that isn't to do with work for a while. What coffee do they like? Do they like football? Did they see that ludicrous display last night? There's always some kind of common ground, and that sports. And that can definitely help you, I guess, get ahead, because you're becoming a relatable human being rather than just a business robot who is going networking do, handing out cards and never contributing. And it's reciprocal. It's a reciprocal relationship.
Opportunities. For
that
career highlights. Has that helped? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I
feel like I'm babbling.
Career highlights,
it has helped, and I think there's something in that. And one of the things I was going to ask you about, how you mentioned how you've both got different sets of skills there, very particular sets of skills that help the business, in terms of whether that's networking, or whether that's, just dealing with people, working hard, the technical side of it. Can you tell me, because again, you are a partnership, and a lot of young people decide that they want to go and work with their mates, and you guys are friends outside of the business as well. What do you admire and respect about each other? Give me some top 3 things each of you admires about the other in terms of their skill set and what they bring to the business, but also personally as well. If Mike could you do Jay first, please, Mike?
You can be like,
okay.
Michael's frustrated me very much today. I don't know if I admire him in this particular moment.
What do you love about me? Go on.
Yeah, well, I like that you're brave enough to have purple and green hair, and creative jewelry stuff, and that you're unabashedly not afraid to look, feel, and sound and be creative. And I really like that when you get into the creative space that you can bring it to life with your hands, because I can't. And as a person, I like that you challenge me. I apologize when I don't listen to you. But I think we've got a really, really good balance. And surprisingly, for some reason, we've never actually had a proper, genuine argument, because the opportunity's there. I thought maybe we should have had one earlier on when I was listening to you.
But when we were setting up for this podcast, Mike, I was like, Zoom is fine.
Mike, is your child like this? Why aren't you listening to him, Mike? I would. Sorry. It looks good though.
It looks great, doesn't it? I wouldn't have gone into business. There's no way I would have gone into business myself. What I said earlier on was, I just kind of assumed I'd leave uni, then get a job working for someone else and be someone else's Igor for God knows how long, and I'd never be able to be creative. And it just
yes, master.
Yes, master. Hello. Can I put the cables in, master? Yeah, I honestly just thought that I would just end up being someone's dog's body. And you,
you are. It's just I'm
your dog's body. Yeah, your own dog's my own dog's body.
What's that? Who is it? You used to make that joke about. I used to work for a crazy boss that I quit and then hired for
it's something like I used to work for a crazy boss, and now I'm self-employed. I work for a psychopath. But and honest to God, I would not have gone to business myself. And meeting Dom as well, and you, I felt like at the time I just got tagged along. Like I was this guy who had similar skills to you, because we both did film, and I was doing illustration, animation as well. So I had this extra skill that I could attach to you. And you were like, "Oh yeah, come along with us." And I was like, "Okay." There's this nervous, sort of timid little guy. And there's no way I would have gone networking, made business cards, sorted out a website, got an office, none of that. I would have just applied for jobs and then got a job and been somebody's, been somebody's dog's body and then just tried to work my way
I
up.
have one admirable thing that I really want to say because I admire it a lot about you at the moment. You are making wiser decisions and putting yourself above the point of power, which is something that Chris Fordy, our action coach, York and Leeds business coach, says all the time. Jay puts himself above the point of power a lot, and it's really good.
That's just my ego speaking, but I love you too.
But relating to what you were saying, you just, I don't know, you're just like confident in a good way.
Oh, thank you. Because it's good to hear it, because often I don't feel it, and I feel like people don't tell people that.
I try to tell you.
You do, and I hope that you understand that I love you very much platonically. It's not that kind of partnership because he has a girlfriend and a child. So
it's a new world. It could be that type of partnership. We're just lying for the camera.
Yeah, could be. But no, I like how you challenge me as well. I like how you just go and do stuff, and you'll just say, I've done a website, I've joined a networking group, and we're doing this thing. And sometimes I'm like, what? Oh my god! But
I feel like
it always helps the business, and the things that we do are always trying to grow the business, grow the brand and like the community of what we're trying to do, and get our message across positively, and get us some more money so that we can eat. I need biscuits, so that always helps. So yeah, I feel like I really admire
fruit.
Yeah, frozen fruit. I admire how you just you don't and ah about stuff, you just do it. And sometimes I'm a bit too afraid, and I and ah about stuff. I'm like, should I do that? Shouldn't I? Oh god, I don't know. And then I overthink stuff. And sometimes you just go, I'm just going to do it, and then it's out there, and I can change it later. And I really like that, and it helps me be more gutsy when it comes to like big decisions as well. So
I mean, I do and ah, I just don't and ah very publicly about it. I and ah a lot. And then I get really annoyed at myself for having overthought it for too much. And then I find a way of boiling it down to make a simple decision. I'm like, either do it or don't do it. And then I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes it is just like that. Either do it, poo or get off the pot, isn't it? It's like, just do it or don't do it, and make a decision either way. And sometimes I'm always veering in the middle. And if you do it, it's like, well, what's the worst that could happen? And the point is, we're not, we haven't gone bust. We're still, trundling along all these years later. The business has been growing. Customers are happy. Work is getting turned over. Yes, we're in a COVID time, so it's all a little bit up and down sometimes, but ultimately we're all working.
When seen on a graph.
Yeah, when our accountant showed us it on a graph, and it was like, oh, we're doing really well, upward trajectory. Oh, COVID.
We overlaid our turnover with the COVID rate. Oh look.
Oh yeah.
They both do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I think everyone's in the same position, and it's good to just work together. I don't want to say symbiotically, but you've always got to have the same goal, and that's an important thing in any partnership, any relationship where you're doing something and working together. You've got to know that you want the same thing, and we do.
First question though, but hopefully we answered it.
It's a nice question. Yeah, you gave me two.
Oh yeah, what do you admire about each other?
Yeah, you gave me
your hair,
and then
your jumper.
I was like, I think Jay hates me right now. I'm going to address it.
No, I don't. I love your jumper.
I've had this for about 5 years. I could do with a new one.
It is a really nice.
I think Dom got me this one.
Yeah, it's a really nice jumper. They're both really nice jumpers. Thank you so much for your time today, guys, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.